Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So this video I am recording with still about a half an hour left on the market open because, well, I want to get this video done, record it, and out before Tesla Day so I can watch Tesla Day, or Investor Day rather. So yeah, all that being said though, let's talk about it regardless. I don't think there'll be too much more of a move from here anyways. It'll most likely close somewhere around this general vicinity. So yeah, we'll just talk about it. So it looks like Tesla, it should be closing anywhere between, I would say, around 203 to 200. I really would be surprised if it's anywhere too far from that, whether it's up or down. So that pretty much puts us down about, we'll say 1.7, 1.8% or so. For the day as Tesla does close. So yeah, let's just go over it. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button. And as usual, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Make your own decisions, do your own research, but let's just jump into it. So the most important thing to note here, guys, is that Tesla is treading on exceptionally thin ice. So as you can see, without me having to hopefully have to, literally point it out, it has officially broken down out of this channel, right? The channel that it has bounce, went even above it. We had a new channel up here, had its little rally, bounced off of here, bounced, finally broke under, bounced off of this 190 level, but then, kind of went sideways, bounced off of the channel here, the same one that it bounced several times back here, and it tried to bounce again, but, it finally crashed through this, this morning, I believe, actually, on this sell candle. I think this was this yesterday? I can't remember. Let me double check, actually. Yeah, it was this morning. Yeah, so this morning we ended up pretty much crashing straight through, but luckily we did hold 200, which is why it's on thin ice, because now it's between that 200, pretty important support in all honesty. And on top of that, right above it is now, well, you can see it's pretty interesting how it's almost magical how back here again this line has more or less been untouched and unchanged. This is pretty much how it's always been. Beautiful bounces off of it exactly here, and now you can see beautiful bounces just the opposite way off of it right here, right? So keep that in mind, guys. Very important to note the fact that it has not only broken down, but it's also having issues actually getting back into the channel. Extremely important to take that into account. Now, with that being said, and with Tesla again, like I said, more or less trading on thin ice here. If there is something that can bring Tesla back into this channel and potentially still give it a little bit more room to run, again, maybe even as high as this kind of 213, potentially 215-ish, maybe even 216 level, it's Investor Day, right? So this Investor Day is going to be the make it or break it. And this, in my opinion, is what's going to dictate the next major move. Whether we still have one more push up or that's it, it's done. All these bearish divergences are going to play out. It breaking down out of this channel is going to finally play out. And, the bearish trend, more or less, let's just say finally resumes. That is the major question. But it feels like it pretty much just hangs on this event. And, lately with Tesla events, they haven't been very good in terms of the stock's reaction post the event. So keep that in mind. But that's pretty much the major thing I'm looking at right now. It's just this event is extremely important. It's looking pretty bearish right now. It's not looking good. But again, if there's something that can recapture bullish momentum, it will be something like this. And the thing that's interesting is that the fact that this event is essentially happening, like at least the core of it, the main part of it, is happening essentially just as the market closes, more or less, right? Which is usually not how it happens. Usually it's after market closes and even after post-market closes. Here it's actually going to be happening during post-market, which can still dictate a lot of moves potentially for Tesla, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. So that'll be interesting to see and kind of dictate what happens there as well. But overall, moving in, you can see for the most part we are essentially trading just this sideways thing, right? And even during the sideways movement, we are still ultimately making a bearish divergence, right? That's still very much intact. The 4 hour, the 3 hour, whatever, right? It's just so obvious, right? All the way from back here when Tesla was sitting all the way down to 180, as it kept going up, this just kept going down, right? That's just the most obvious thing in my opinion so far. If you look at the major moving indicators, you can see we're still above the 21 EMA, so that's not too bad at all. And even if it does crack, I wouldn't be surprised if it does get one more little bounce here, maybe back up to 200, so something along the lines of coming back here, doing this, and then going like this, all the way down. Something like that, that's definitely a possibility. So we'll see if that actually comes to fruition. A lot of people like the 21 EMA. I personally don't care much for it, but I know a lot of people do. You can see on the daily, this is really starting to kind of, go into each other. You can see how the red and the green lines are like, oops. They're really like kind of diving into each other. You can see getting very tight here. So it could be an explosive move after this Investor Day. Honestly, this could be very fascinating to see what happens here. I did exit my call, took a tiny loss on it. It is what it is. But what I did, instead, to offset the loss and actually still be in profit overall, is I did sell a put on Tesla, which is a bullish position. I sold a 180 put on Tesla, just one, for March, I think it's like 23rd or something like that, that Friday. I forgot exactly the March number or date, but that's pretty much my only bullish position right now. Otherwise, I am essentially more or less full cash. And that's just in case there is an actual run up, which again, there is still definitely a possibility. I'm not 100% sure. I do think it's more bearish than bullish, or else I'd be selling even more cash secured puts, which is a bullish position. I just don't have a lot of confidence, which is why I'm just entering just a tiny bit, not a whole lot, maybe like 5% of my portfolio or something like that, assuming I'm forced to buy, of course. But even then, buying at 180 and then slowly, buying as it potentially trickles down to like maybe even 150, I'm perfectly okay with, right? So that's the way I personally look at it as of right now, right? And taking a look at the weekly chart, you can see for now, again, we're only just over half the way through the week, but you can see not the best looking weekly chart, showing an insane amount of supply right above us in this level up here, right? Just really having a lot of issues. But again, this candle probably will change substantially for better or for worse after today's investor day, if you will. We can also take a final look at the monthly candle. You can see for February, right? You can see February, pretty decent monthly candle, and so far not the best looking monthly candle for March, but of course it is literally the first day of March, right? Of course, there's still a lot that can happen for better or for worse. But ultimately, guys, my main thing is the fact that I am definitely more bearish than bullish, right? I don't know what you said there. There we go. I am definitely more bearish than bullish. Short term, medium, even potentially medium term. Long term, obviously, I'm very bullish on Tesla, but short to medium term, I'm definitely more bearish than bullish on Tesla, especially short term. And I do think that there is a pretty decent chance that we retrace back down. And again, I didn't talk about it too much yesterday because I've talked about it so many times, and there's really not anything new to cover because we've just been going sideways for the past like week and a half or whatever this has been. But again, if this is the top and we do retrace from here, and then investor days ends up being a sell the news type of thing, which it's a very decent chance that it is, I do think we will retrace somewhere to about 160 to as low as 145 for the gap fill down here. That's my like real true, like, man, that is a good buy zone, assuming this bullish momentum stays intact, because I do believe Tesla has potentially flipped to a medium term bullish-ish, I guess. But I do think short term leading into medium term is bearish. But then I think from there it does flip back to being bullish, mainly because Tesla did break above 200 on this massive move upwards, and it did break this arguable swing high right here, where we kept kind of making lower highs, lower lows, and then we now essentially made potentially arguably a higher high on this overall medium term downtrend that we were in, which is a good thing. So we'll see if that ends up being coming to fruition, right? But the main thing I want to see is Tesla, if it does retrace, when it does retrace, I really want to see somewhere around this range hold, and I don't want to see it go much lower than this, because that to me tells me that it is most likely still bullish. And that's personally what I'll be waiting for, and what I am very much eyeballing and being patient for as well. And yeah, that's kind of the main thing I'm seeing. And the final thing is, of course, it's to be expected, but obviously you're gonna get a lot of very, troll comments, right? It is what it is. So some of them are just really, really funny. People are saying how the stock has been moving opposite to your TA. It's like, bro, I don't know what kind of shit you're watching, but it really hasn't at all. So also, I want to make it very clear, when I say Tesla is going to crash 20%, I made a video, I think like last week, I believe it was, that when I say something like that, it doesn't mean it's going to happen tomorrow. A lot of people, for some reason, I think the stock and the way the meme stocks have been moving, and especially sometimes Tesla, with how fast it moves, sometimes people always think that when you say something that it has to happen tomorrow or the day after, like it has to happen within the next 24 to 48 hours, or you're wrong. No, when I say 20%, that means to me, or at least when I'm saying it, what I mean by that is the fact that I do expect it to come. I don't know exactly when. I don't think it's that much longer, but I do think that it is coming, right? It doesn't have to be the next day or the day after, but I do believe it's going to come, and I cannot wait for it to happen, because people like that write those kind of comments, I really want them to like learn the hard way sometimes, because they just, I don't know, they're just very strange comments. But that's kind of what I mean for people that are, listening, right? When I say 20% crash, that doesn't mean it's going to be, the next day or two. It means that I personally foresee it coming after this kind of, congestion zone finally plays out, because so far we have been essentially congested in this area for quite a while, in all honesty, right? This is quite a bit now. Like if we take into account how many daily candles we have in this general area. So ever since we came up to pretty much, let's just say, like right around, like let's just say even this candle right here, this was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, just over 2 weeks of trading days. Not even, that's like 3 weeks of like real time, if you will, because we don't trade on the weekends, right? But that's just over 2 weeks of specifically trading days. That's a long time of being congested in this area, right? Obviously not as long as back when it was all the way up here, but still pretty damn long. So just keep that in mind, guys, right? It doesn't mean that it's going to happen tomorrow or anything like that. It just means that I think it's going to happen. Just a matter of time, not, it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. But that's just what I personally think, and that's just kind of what I foresee. I know that's just kind of how it works with the comment section. You're always going to have people voicing, their opinions. And you know, some of them are cringe, honestly, but it is what it is. But all that being said, guys, that's more or less it for the video. Let me know what you think down below. I think this is going to be a phenomenal investor day. I think for Tesla, the company, it's going to be amazing news. I'm very excited for it. But for TSLA, you know, it very well could be sell the news, right? Another way you can potentially look at this, by the way, is you can also make an argument that, you know, we are kind of doing something like this right here. Let me change this color so it's a little bit different so we can kind of differentiate a little bit. But you can definitely make an argument that we are trading something like this right here as well, right? So this is something else that you can definitely consider looking at. Something like this, right? You can definitely look at it like this as well, which, you know, this overall, this is in theory potentially a bullish pattern. It absolutely can be, which is why I have one bullish position just in case. Even though I am leaning more towards bearishness here, there is a chance that this plays out in the bullish sense, right? There's absolutely a chance that this plays out in that sense. So, you know, I don't want to completely rule that off the table, which is why I entered a small bullish position. So if it does, at least I'm, you know, making something off of it. And if it doesn't, that's fine. I'm down to start my DCA on Tesla at about 180 and then slowly make, you know, DCA as it, you know, kind of sells throughout this zone, which I think is what it's going to do. But that's my overall thing that I'm foreseeing. But yeah, all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think down below. Get ready for a pretty massive day and a pretty massive move on Tesla potentially coming as well. So it'll be pretty exciting stuff. I'm excited. Hope you're excited. But thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.